here's why you should listen to me. What's up everyone? My name is Vanessa. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about NetGalley. So if you are new to NetGalley and you have no idea what NetGalley is, it is basically a place where publishers and authors go to promote digital review copies of their books, which allows readers to gain early access to these books. The readers then end up reading, reviewing, rating the book on whatever social media platform they desire. So it could be like Goodreads, Storygraph, various types of other social medias like YouTube, aka BookTube, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. So I want to go into a little bit of detail for someone who is maybe newer to the site or maybe has like a few books under their belt but maybe want to get a little bit stronger at reviewing. I am probably not the best person to ask, but I think I'm pretty good. Now the reason I say that is because my feedback ratio is not at the recommended 80%, which I will talk about that for anyone who doesn't know what a feedback ratio is. But I currently have a 49%. That doesn't deter me from getting some of the most popular books. For example, I have most recently been approved for books like Glow of the Everflame by Pen Cole, Yin Yang Love Song by Lauren Kung Jessen, How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Megan Quinn, and Frigid by Jennifer L. Armentrout. So like I'm getting books by popular authors. And here's why you should listen to me. I'm going to be looking away from the camera because I'm actually going to be looking at my screen as I do a little bit of screen sharing for you guys. So if you're new to NetGalley, you're likely going to see a page that looks like this. Other countries may have to log in through a different version like NetGalley.fr for France, JP for Japan, .co.uk for the UK. You will get different books, different languages based on where your NetGalley is located. So a lot of the NetGalley.com books are going to be in English. Occasionally we get some Spanish books, but even though I know a little bit of Spanish, I don't tend to read and rate those because I'm not fluent in Spanish. If you're brand new to NetGalley, one of the first places you're going to want to look is find titles. So this is an area where you can look at all the different books that are available currently. So we have recently added audiobooks, books that are featured, and these are more specific to maybe what I'm interested in. We have recently added books, which are ebooks, most requested books. So let's say I want to go and add this book. I can simply request it if I know it's something I really want, or I can go to see full details. This tells me some important information. So obviously the title, who the author is, you get a picture of what the cover looks like. It tells me the genres that it's in. If I scroll down a little bit more, I can see a description of the book to see if I'm interested. Tells me some things like when it becomes available as a book, it'll probably be about $27. There's about 176 pages in this book. And then I can review any sorts of member reviews. I can see what other people are saying about this book. I can see other books that readers who liked this book are reading. But if you scroll up, you can click request and it'll ask you what appeals to you about this book. You know, maybe I'm like, oh, I love this author. I love this cover. And then I can send my request. You can simply not put anything. You just want to request this book. If you try to request a book like that and you get declined, you'll get a message like this, request declined. And I know the particular reason that I got declined for this book. It was because I had a lower feedback ratio, which I will talk about a little bit later. They put in their email some different things like, we've reached our limit, we like to see what your profile says, and maybe it didn't match up, which I'll also show you later, and then generally your feedback ratio is too low. That's usually what probably gets me, even though they don't specifically and outrightly tell you. But you can, look at different books and see what fancies your interest. Now this one's super cute. It is a pending title for me. So it'll say pending once you request and you're waiting to hear back from the publishers about this book. If you are brand new to NetGalley, you're probably going to want to find books in the Listen Now or the Read Now sections. So Listen Now is obviously audiobooks. So these are all of the audiobooks that you can listen to right now. All right. So you've got, the holidays coming up. Maybe you want to read or listen to Santa Overboard. Maybe you're feeling like looking at some finance stuff. All right. You can do that. Or if you're more of a digital e-reader, you can also click on Read Now and it'll come up with some different books that are available to you currently. And they've got many, many pages of books that are available as Read Now. All right. Now, you can go through and have a NetGalley requesting spree. So if you're like, oh, I love all 5 of these covers, all of these appeal to me because of their cover, go ahead, okay? But let me warn you, if you don't rate your books, it will impact your feedback ratio, which again, I will talk about a little bit later. Okay, you can also look at books that you might be auto-approved for. So I am currently auto-approved for bookbuzz.net, which I'm assuming are books that this publisher has put out. So these ones, if I click on it, I can instantly read it. I don't have to request it, versus if you were not auto-approved for this publisher, you would have to request the book. Now, a really good, easy way to bump up that feedback ratio, especially in the beginning, is reading children's books, cookbooks, and craft books. So let's say I click on children's fiction. All right, you can go here and you can request books, but you can also click by category and then click Read Now. Okay, so these are all of the children's books that are currently available to me as a Read Now. Like, I don't have to request them. So let's say I want to read Super Fluffy Sheep Counting to Sleep. I can read it right now, okay? What's really nice about children's books is they're very short, 26 pages, and generally it's gonna be lots of pictures. So you can read this. If you've got children, it's a great way to read. It's been really fun to be able to read some children's books, but not just because I'm reading them, but to read them to a child and then bump up my NetGalley score. So that's a super easy way to do that. If you're also really interested in certain publishers, you can click the tab at the top that says Browse Publishers, and there's hundreds of publishers here. At the bottom it will tell you if you have a heart next to it, you like them. This little circle with a check is that you're auto-approved. So if I scroll up, bookbuzz.net isn't auto-approved. I really like Atria books. I also really like some books by Avon and Harper. So, you can also go through and, let's say I want to add them to my favorites. Just click on their name, add to favorites. If I go back to Browse Publishers, it should pop up again. Okay, now, another important thing. You want to go to your profile, which is if you click your name up here or your initials up here, your picture, you will get your profile page. So on my profile, we have my name, my picture, and my feedback ratio, which is at 49%. Now, this feedback ratio is a combination of my books approved to my books that I have set feedback for. So if you divide 119 by 243, you should get 0.489, and then you times it by 100 to get your percentage. It's a 48.9%, so 49%. The recommended feedback ratio is 80%. You want to make sure that you are reading and reviewing your books, because otherwise your feedback ratio will just keep going down. Sadly, mine was it was at 50-something% the other day. Now it's gone down because I've been recently approved for some books. So I do have a lot of books, as you can see. What's 243 minus 119? I have 124 unread books. Actually, add 2, because I'll come back to those 2 in a moment. But here is some stuff that you can put on your bio. So I put that my name's Vanessa, I'm from Maryland in the United States. I enjoy reading all kinds of books, and then I put specifically what kind of books I'm interested in. So primarily romance, especially dark romance, contemporary romances, and then I put a couple of different tropes, so enemies to lovers, grumpy sunshine. I'm also interested in fantasy and mystery thrillers. I have found myself gravitating towards horror and coming of age fiction stories lately. And then if you're someone who's interested in reading books with multicultural representation and mental health, LGBTQ representation, I have also put a statement in here that these are things that I would like to be considered for as well. because I am someone who is a woman of color. I'm Asian, and I have a mental health background as a psychologist. So I'm very interested in promoting these areas and breaking the stigma associated with mental health. So if these are things that you would like to be considered for by a publisher, you should put them in your bio. Please do not copy exactly what I have in my bio, because that is plagiarism. But these are just some things that you may want to think about as you're writing your own unique bio. I also have in here how I primarily review my books. So I usually use Goodreads, but I do feature some of the NetGalley books through my BookTube channel, which I have linked my BookTube here. I've linked my current subscriber count as of October 16th. I've even included some different socials like my Goodreads, my Instagram, who I've been auto-approved for. They want to see generally that you're someone who is going to review their books. This is like a little bit of something that you can put in your profile. You know, obviously, like I said, don't copy and paste, but something that may help you get more approvals for hot books. Another cool feature is, let's go to my shelf. Okay, so you can see all of the books that I have been approved for, okay? And these are obviously the ones that are active that I currently have not read. Active meaning they have not been archived yet. You can sort them by ebooks, and you can sort them by audiobooks. If I go to my not active books, I can also see where I have some pending requests. So I recently requested some of these books, like this morning, a lot of Christmas books that I'm interested in reading. Some by Tessa Bailey, Olivia Dade, Allie Hazelwood. I might get declined, but it's okay. You know, it's worth a shot. So you can also see like books that you've been declined for. You can see books that I have archived and not downloaded. These are generally audiobooks. I will say, because a lot of these, almost actually all of these, I think are published already. They are probably available through the library at this point. So I can technically go back and give feedback on these titles. I just need to listen to the audiobook through my library. Now, remember how I said I have 2 books that are kind of hanging out there? Well, there's a whole section called Will Not Give Feedback. Early on in my NetGalley journey in 2022, I said, I'm not going to read these books. I'm not interested. But I have since learned that these books actually are hurting me. So I can technically never get to 100% feedback ratio, even if I read all those books on my shelves, because I have these 2 books that I said I will not give feedback to. Now, I can actually go, like let's say this year, this holiday season, I want to read The Christmas Wish. So I click on it. It'll pop up with the page, and while it is no longer available on NetGalley, like you can't request it, I can still give it feedback. Once I give it feedback, I can actually then achieve 100% if I read those 2 books. So that's why it's important not to say, I will never give feedback. You can say something different, like when you do give your feedback, I rated it 1 star. I decided not to finish it because blah, 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 and write your reasoning for why. But you should never hit that I will not give it feedback, because it's going to hurt your feedback ratio score. So I actually want to share this really helpful page from NetGalley's revised 2024 Book Advocate Toolkit. It's a book that you can request for free, and I think you can actually rate it and bump up your NetGalley feedback ratio. So, how to review the book. It says to describe the plot. So your review may be cross-posted to a platform where a synopsis isn't available, so like Twitter, Instagram. So you want to give 1 to 2 brief sentences about this book, like what's the overview of the book. You want to tell the individual who's reading this review why you liked the book, why you didn't like the book, what about it could you provide insight to? Like, what information do you have essentially to review this book? And then think about the audience. So not every book is suited to every reader. So let readers know if this is a book you'd recommend and to whom. So if you're someone who really likes high fantasy, fantasy romance, pirates, like you may want to put that in the book that you're reviewing, especially if those are elements of that book. It says to make your opinion clear, explain the praise and critiques that you're providing, and share any content warnings if you can, like if there is mentions of animal death or murder or whatever. Don't forget to proofread. You want your review to be very well edited. Also, do not share major spoilers of the book because that is rude. We're not here to read a spark notes of the book. We're here to read your review of what you liked and didn't like of the book. So those, I would say, are probably like the top tips. I'm going to give you some insight into a couple of reviews that I have written. So let me show you a book that I've read recently, One Cursed Rose by Rebecca Zanetti. So if I click on this book, it'll take me to this page. I can click View Feedback, see my review. You can also edit it if you'd like. But I gave this book 4 stars. I gave a little synopsis of this book. It's not too terribly long. I kind of explained some things here, like it's a modern day dark romance that is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It involves gangs, magic, and suspense. I enjoyed it so much. It had a good amount of mystery, suspense, while also giving the readers a little bit of spice that we craved. This is perfect for readers who enjoyed the original Beauty and the Beast but are looking for a little bit more sex and violence in their stories. So, you know, again, this is kind of offering what I think that readers would like in this, as well as just things that I really liked in this book. And at the end, you generally want to thank NetGalley and the publisher for the opportunity to read an advanced review copy or advanced reader's copy, an ARC, if you will, in exchange for your opinion, because that is how this whole site runs. It's not money-based here. And I also included that I did purchase a physical copy of this book and the audiobook to enhance my reading experience. And that way they just have a little bit of information for potentially going forward. Like, you do want to put up the audiobook on NetGalley so that the reader can have both side by side to review, because sometimes audiobooks really do enhance your reading experience, especially if you have a really good narrator. Let's see what Ghost Apparent, what I said for Ghost Apparent. So I can see my review, and this one I was trying out a little bit of a different type of review. Okay, so I rated this 4 stars. I put some different elements here, like it's a dark fantasy mythology. I rated it 4 stars, publication date. Here is the synopsis, which I think in this case I just copied it from Goodreads. I put my thoughts here. I was trying to be a little bit extra with this one for some reason, but I hadn't read anything by this author before. People told me this was a prequel novella to Dark Woods, Deep Water, which is another book by this author, and I stated that I will be reading it because obviously I enjoyed this prequel. The world building was easy to understand, and the plot was so action-packed that it kept me intrigued and wanting more. The main character was likable, and it did not feel like the situations she was placed in were too easy or too hard to solve. The ending was bittersweet, and I'm hoping it sets up for the full-length novel. So it's showing my excitement that I'm ready for this next book, and I'm likely going to read more by this author, which now if this author puts anything else on NetGalley and they see my past review, I will likely get approved because I've rated them highly. I did also put content warnings here because this did have a few, and then again, thanking NetGalley and the publisher. And I did put a note here that it was labeled or listed as horror, but it actually didn't have any true horror elements. To me, it kind of just felt like a dark fantasy, so that was just kind of a note for NetGalley. Now, once you become a super good reviewer, let me show you some fun things. So if I go to my shelf, feedback sent, I can scroll down. Actually, I don't think it's on this page. Okay, so here you'll see some orange pencils. So these orange pencils mean that my review is featured on their page. So if I click on this and I actually go and I'm going to search my name because I think it's probably far down at this point. It's quite far down. So this was my review that got featured. It wasn't very long or lengthy. But as you can see, it's one of the books. They probably just took anyone who gave it a 4 or 5 star or something and put it on here. But I'm a featured reviewer for this, okay? Same goes for the other book. Now, if I go to my dashboard, some other cool things, you can see your badges. Okay, so I might have more. Let me see. No, I only have 4. Okay, so these are the badges that I have. I guess if I wanted to put them on a blog or something, I could. But I have rated and reviewed over 100 books through NetGalley. I participated in NetGalley camp over the summer. I'm a top reviewer, so you get this badge when 3 or more of your reviews have been added to any NetGalley titles. by a publisher, and then each member gets this little badge here. So you kind of already get a little badge when you first start. If you go to your dashboard and you scroll down a little bit, you can see what books you were maybe recently approved for. So I did request a lot of holiday books recently because I have a vlog coming out. I have a couple of my favorite publishers here. I don't really do too much with these, but I did start doing this recently with the list. So I can manage different lists. I have them broken down into like published in 2023 or earlier that I haven't reviewed yet. I have them broken down for 2024 in quarters. So these are each quarter that I haven't read from yet, unfortunately. And then I did start ones for 2025 because I think that I'm going to start prioritizing the books that are coming out. That way I don't fall as behind. I'm already behind with all the 2023 and some of the 2024 books, so that's totally fine. But I'm going to try to start getting some of these 2025 books read and more prioritized. Now, there is obviously an app that you can use, but I find it to be kind of cumbersome at times. So if you go to NetGalley, it's the little green one. Okay, you can see all of the books that are on your shelves, but I feel like it actually doesn't do a great job of showing me what I actually have available. I feel like some of them are still missing. This one I've had on my shelf forever because it won't ever archive, but you can see a lot of the books that I have been approved for. You can show all, you can scroll through, but again, I feel like these aren't even all of the books. I feel like some of them are missing and maybe because they've been archived, but it's also incredibly hard to find your audiobooks on here. Sometimes the shelves work, sometimes they don't, but if you click on Home, Show All, it'll show you books and then it'll show you audiobooks. But again, like I said, this one has been on my shelf forever because it won't ever freaking archive. I think that is all of the NetGalley information I can think to provide right now. But if anybody has anything else that they really want to know about, I'm happy to answer your questions. If you just leave me a comment down below. If there's something that I totally just missed, let me know as well. I've been doing this pretty consistently for probably about a year, even though I have been a NetGalley member since 2022. But I feel like over 2024 or so, I have actually read a lot more of my books through NetGalley. I want to get better about it in 2025 and not have so many books on my TBR shelf. So I'm hoping that some of these readathons and things coming up get me to prioritize some of these books. Before you go, if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the like button while you're at it. It really helps out my channel and helps me grow. I'm trying to hit 1,500 by the end of 2024. I hope that you enjoyed this video and I really appreciate you for clicking on it and watching it. If you're hoping to find more NetGalley content by me, you can go ahead and check out some of these videos where I vlogged my experience of a couple of NetGalley books. And if you're interested in connecting with me on my socials, everything is linked down below. But I appreciate you guys for checking out today's video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye!